Hello YouTubers, welcome to my shop kitchen. This is going to be my entry into Buckrun11's prepper challenge for December. I'm going to make something that my mother used to make. I'll tell you about it while I'm cooking it up. But first of all, I've got some important news. I am now a graduate of the Dudeologist of Grubology School of Cooking. So I now know what I'm doing. We're going to make something called Congos. Oh, you hear a pressure cooker going in the background. I'm trying my hand at pressure canning boiled peanuts. I've got another batch of boiled peanuts boiling over here, and I think I've created some sort of mustard gas because I'm coughing. Zatarain's boiling is the deal. I don't want to get any of this stuff mixed in with this stuff though, because that could make it taste kind of odd. What I've got is 2 cups sifted flour. In this little cup I've got a teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of soda, and a teaspoon of salt. I have 1 cup chopped nuts. I've got 2/3 cup of butter melting on the stove. I've got my organic vanilla ready to go. I'll need 1 tablespoon of that. And this is where it gets dicey. 2 eggs slightly beaten. Now if the School of Grubology, slightly beaten could be a severe scolding or popping a cap in it. I got to decide where I'm at in this. So once I figure that out, we'll get back to it. And I have got a package of chocolate chips, 6 ounces, 2 cups of brown sugar, packed. You can see it was packed pretty good. So it says to add these dry ingredients to the flour and sift again. And the way I sift it is just with a sieve or whatever you call it. So I'll dump that back in there. And sift it again. Now, excuse me. Let's get these taken care of, and I'm going to go check on my butter. I'll be right back. Okay, I got my butter melted. Put my brown sugar in this bowl. Let's break it up a little bit. And we are going to pour the butter in there and mix it all up. After we get this mixed, we've got to let it cool. Then we can start adding the other ingredients. This is a recipe, I think Mom told me years ago that it was a recipe that was on the back of a bag of chocolate chips. And this would have been back in the 50s, the 1950s. And she made it for years up until she couldn't make things anymore. She got Alzheimer's and passed away a couple years ago. But this is one of those famous recipes that anyone that knew her loved it. Okay. We got that mixed up pretty good. Let's let it cool down, and then we'll go on to the next step. Be back in a little bit. Well, I'm back. The eggs and I came to an agreement, and I added that tablespoon of vanilla to it, and I think we're going to get along okay. It says to add the nuts to the flour mixture. We're still waiting on the butter and the sugar to cool. I got a clean whisk. And I'm just going to mix the nuts in with the flour. I'm afraid these boiled peanuts and the Zatarain fumes are going to get the better of me today. But that looks good. The nuts are all mixed in nice and neat. Let's see how this looks. The bowl doesn't feel warm. Let's just, it says cool, stir in eggs and vanilla. Then add the flour mixture gradually, mixing well. Now, when my wife makes this recipe, she uses vegetable oil rather than the butter. But I'm doing this Mom's way. I'll be back when I get her all mixed up. Okay, next we have to get a 9 by 13 2-inch deep baking dish prepared for the yumminess. Grease. It says grease, so I'm going to grease the sides, the bottom, and anything where it might touch. I have my oven preheating 350 degrees is what the directions call for. I found that my oven is a little weak, I guess, because it does not cook in the time that most of the recipes call for. So I've got it warming up to 375. We'll see how that goes. We're going to dump this in here. Pretty thick. Now I have a part of a bag of dark chocolate chips. We will just sprinkle them over the top. Open up another bag here of the semi-sweets. As you see, there's recipes on the back. So that's where this recipe originally came from, was on the back of a bag of chocolate chips. Back in the 1950s. Better make sure they're good. Yep. Let's take this over to the oven. Okay, the oven's up to temperature. This pan, this baking dish is really nice with these handles on the end, but it almost doesn't fit in my little oven. Uh-oh, need to get my timer. We're going to set the timer for 45 minutes. Set it over here. This has got about 8 more minutes and I can shut the timer off on that, and I'm going to go over and start filling up jars with my more nuts. I want to can another batch, doing a couple different recipes. Thanks for watching. Give this recipe a try. I'll show it to you when it comes back out. Well, I may have overdone it just a little bit. It looks a little dark, but we're going to cut it up. It's still a little warm. Now I'm going to tell you the secret here. Once you become a connoisseur of the Congos, the edge pieces are the favorite. Now, as far as the corners go, I think you probably ought to send them to me because they're probably not safe for normal humans to eat. But that's up to you to decide. There we go. Let me get a spatula and we'll start scooping them out. I don't know, maybe I ought to wait till they cool off a little bit more. There's a corner. It might be just right. Here's one layer in the little Tupperware dish. Forgot to get something here. There we go, a layer of wax paper between the layers in here, and I laid my finger open on the daggone thing that cuts the wax paper when I was trying to open the roll. Daggone it. Let's put the rest of them in here. Uh-oh. Yeah, I think they're a little smoked up on the bottom. Daggone it. Gotta learn my oven. Well, let them cool down a little bit more, and we will give them a taste test, even though they're burnt on the bottom, darn it. I bet it was that egg. I should have shot it. I had to turn in my dudologist of gribology apron because I burnt my Congos. But I'm going to suffer through it. Not too bad. A little black on the bottom. I'll know next time, stick to the recipe and just leave it in a little longer. Dry some milk. Cup of coffee would go real well with this. Once you get to that crust, a little chewy, oh, really good. Still pretty hot too. Thanks for watching.